My fellow Americans, here's something fascinating. In the final hours of what history may remember as the most catastrophic presidency in modern times, Joe Biden did something remarkable. And by remarkable, I mean desperately predictable. He pardoned them all: Fauci, Milley, Cheney, the entire pantheon of anti Trump crusaders. Now, you might be thinking this was just standard political procedure, but it wasn't. What happened in those final hours reveals something far more sinister about the power structure in Washington. And thanks to a Supreme Court case from 1915, these pardons might just be the biggest tactical mistake that they have ever made. And I'm going to tell you why. Here's the truth about aging that the establishment doesn't want you to face. Just like these pardoned officials try to hide their actions, your body tries to hide the effects of aging until it can't anymore. But here's what they don't tell you about collagen deficiency. After age 20, your body produces 12% less collagen each decade. That's why I trust the collagen formula at healthwithgary.com. It's the only one that combines all 5 critical types of collagen your body needs. Don't wait. Get 51% off today at healthwithgary.com. That's healthwithgary.com. Now, the pardons. I woke up this morning to find that Dr. Fauci had been pardoned. But here's what's interesting. Texas Bulldog lays this out. Last month, Biden's own DOJ said accepting a pardon was an admission of guilt. The Justice Department sent a message. This was back in December 11th of last year. This article. The Justice Department sent a message Wednesday to January 6th defendants stating that accepting a pardon from Donald Trump is a confession of guilt for your crimes. That is the Biden DOJ. A pardon at some unspecified date in the future would not unring the bell of conviction. Federal prosecutors argued that in a January 6th case before the U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, in fact, quite the opposite, the defendant would first have to accept the pardon, which necessitates a confession of guilt. Rand Paul review. Rand Paul, Fauci pardon seals the deal that he was behind COVID. Senator Rand Paul says that President Biden giving the doctor immunity shows he was responsible for the pandemic. And we've been tracking this. Remember, we were like, oh, he's going to pardon Fauci, he's going to pardon Milley, he's going to pardon the J6 committee, all those people. And at the time, I said, you know what, bring it. Bring it. Bring the pardons. Because it will be an admission of guilt. And it will be on the record. And now it is official. Biden has gone and pardoned these people. And now we know the truth. That they were guilty. Now, what's interesting here is the private citizen on X was replying to James Wood's Supreme Court, which is the rule of law, said acceptance, this is the Supreme Court, acceptance of a pardon implies guilt, but on the bright side, they can be involuntarily compelled to testify now. This is Burdick versus the United States. So now they can be drawn before the court. A 1925 case says, and this is Burdick versus U.S., it seems as though accepting a pardon is in fact admitting guilt. In Burdick, the appellant was offered a pardon but declined it, also refusing to testify in criminal court. Again, here's more on Burdick versus the U.S. The differences between legislative immunity and a pardon, they are substantial. The latter carries an imputation of guilt, acceptance, a confession of it. And now we have Tom Fitton just 10 hours ago. He says that, he calls it Pardon Gate. Trump should ignore the preemptive blanket pardons just issued by whoever is running the Biden White House. Specifically, President Trump should immediately court-martial Milley and proceed as appropriate in criminally investigating Fauci and anyone else. Yeah, so guess what? Even though you got the pardon, why not just go with the investigation anyway? And let them defend it. Huh? Let's see what happens. Let's see what Tom Fitton has to say.
I tell you, if Biden preemptively pardons Milley in a way that I think is unlawful, they really should challenge it with a court-martial. And there's more reason to court-martial him. And Judicial Watch just filed a lawsuit to investigate it. He was involved in a collusive attack on our freedoms with Merrick Garland in a meeting.
Yeah, so I think that we could have a court-martial of Milley President Trump, however, did want to wanted to bring up the pardons at the inauguration. Instead, he waited until the speech at Emancipation Hall. Let's listen.
I was talking about that. I was going to talk about that. They said, please don't bring that up right now. You can bring it up tomorrow. I said, how about now in front of I'll bring it up right now. You know, this little time delay is good because we're getting great reviews on the speech. Now watch. They'll take the speech and say, I didn't like it because he left there and he talked to people, but we're giving you a little more information than we gave upstairs. But no, they pardoned a lot of people. They pardoned, before we even get to today, they pardoned, 33 murderers, absolute murderers, the worst murderers. You know, when you get the death sentence in the United States, you have to be bad because they don't give it much. And he pardoned almost everybody having a death sentence. And if you went through the crimes that were committed, you wouldn't even believe them. The level of violence, the people that were killed, the innocence of people that were killed and children killed by these people. And he pardoned them for whatever reason. He spared them, but they didn't spare the people that they killed. And you know, who knows what happens in the future. It's one of the worst because a lot of times they let them out early after that. You know, they say you're going to be in for life, but then all of a sudden they get let out. I was talking.
It is Joe Biden's final act of desperation. Vigilant Fox knew. Reporter asked Trump about Biden's pardons of Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, Liz Cheney, and members of the J6 committee.
Mr. President, do you have any reaction to the pardons that President Biden did at the last minute?
Well, I'm not going to discuss it now. I think it was unfortunate that he did that. We won't discuss it now. There's plenty of time to discuss it.
Oh, there's plenty of time to discuss it, indeed. Colin Rugg, 5 hours ago, immediately after swearing in, Trump rips the crying lunatics Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, says they turned against him because he didn't want to kill people in wars.
So the guy not. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying. I looked at him. I remember years ago he was actually on my side. And then one day, you know, when you don't want to kill people in wars, they turn against you. Liz Cheney hated the concept of not going to war with everybody. Let's kill everybody. Let's spend a lot of money on military equipment, you know, where her father works, right? And but what she did was incredible. Think of it. They destroyed and deleted all of that information that went on for almost 2 years against Trump.
So don't worry too much about these pardons, because there will be enough time to look back at them and discuss if Biden even had the mental capacity to know what he was signing in front of him. Here's CNN's John King on the last-minute preemptive pardons.
Like this. It's just unseemly. If you're going to do it, have the courage to do it in the light of day and explain it to the American people. Wow. It's a stain on his legacy to do it like this. It's just unseemly.
A stain on his legacy. They said that on CNN. John King said that on CNN about these pardons. Supposedly he did these pardons like 10 minutes before Trump took the oath. While Biden's decision to pardon General Mark Milley shields him from criminal prosecution, he's still eligible for a military court-martial. Oh, and I believe that he needs to have that. Oh, here's a selfie. President Biden, one more selfie for the road. We love you, America. Now, go home. Go to the beach. Do whatever it is you do. And Olivia makes a point here. If he is a hero, why pardon him before he's been convicted of a crime? Remember, Joe Biden, he said Fauci was an American hero. But why would an American hero need a pardon? Yeah. Quote tweeting Brittany, Dr. Fauci is a hero who saved countless lives. He deserves the pardon. No, he does not. And then we find out this. And we knew it was going to happen. We called it. In his final moments before leaving office, President Joe Biden has issued full pardons to several family members. Oh, what does that tell you? Here it is, the official document. Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, to all whom these presents shall come greeting, be it known that this day, blah, 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 I pardon James B. Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, and Francis W. Biden. A full and unconditional pardon for any nonviolent offenses against the United States, which they may have committed or taken part of during the period from January 1st of 2014 through the date of this pardon. Wow. He pardoned them all the way back to January 1st of 2014. As you know, Congress has been investigating the Biden family and the amount of money laundering and the web of shell corporations that these people were in charge of. Oh, man, he just made them all guilty. Oh, yes, it only proves what we have known all along, that these people are absolutely guilty. Oh, and that's what I said. I said it. I said, bring the pardons, man. Bring them. Because it's going to be an admission of guilt. Oh. James, we are now a dictatorship, but the outgoing president has pardoned. He says we're in a dictatorship. Okay. But the outgoing president has pardoned 8,064 people in the last month and minutes before leaving office, and pardoned his entire family, including himself. You don't pardon people that don't commit crimes, but the excellent news is you cannot pardon people. So this guy, James, obviously believes that we're in some kind of a Trump dictatorship, but at least he's acknowledging the lunacy of this record-breaking number, 8,064 people. Rand Paul posting this 11 hours ago. If there was ever any doubt as to who bears responsibility for the COVID pandemic, Biden's pardon of Fauci forever seals the deal. As chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, I will not rest until the entire truth of the cover-up is exposed. Fauci's pardon will only serve as an accelerant to pierce the veil of deception. Anthony Fauci will go down in history as the first government scientist to be preemptively pardoned for a crime. And you know, Rand Paul, he has been relentless in his investigation to bring the truth of COVID. How many people did Biden pardon? Because even the left says they wouldn't need it if they hadn't committed a crime. Natalie Winters, Adam Kinzinger, back in 2022. The only reason you asked for a pardon is because you think you've committed a crime. Let's listen.
The only reason I know to ask for a pardon is because you think you've committed a crime. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Adam Kinzinger, who was on the J6 committee, now a recipient of those pardons. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, 12 hours ago, Biden pardons for Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, and the members of the J6 committee and the cops who testified before the committee because they are guilty of crimes. Never forget what the Democrats have done. The mask is completely off. Tonto says the pardon is a stupid move, but there's no reason for it to stop the GOP from still investigating everything they claimed was against the law, right? You still think the FBI and Antifa were behind J6 and you have the vaccine? Well, here we go. Now the mask is off. Donald Trump Jr., he doesn't have to accept the pardon if he did nothing wrong. Be a man and turn it down. But you know, he won't because everyone knows he's guilty of so much. Donald Trump Jr., he was quote tweeting Jonathan Karl. Fauci tells me he appreciates the pardon, but he committed no crime. Yeah, this is Dr. Fauci's quote on the actual pardon. He says, I truly appreciate the action President Biden has taken today on my behalf. Let me be perfectly clear, John, I have committed no crime. You know that. And there are no possible grounds for any allegation or threat of criminal investigation or prosecution of me. Yeah, we'll wait to see what Rand Paul has to say about that. Joe Proctor, justice has been grotesquely perverted. This is the most awful precedent ever set by a president and now requires constitutional amendment to prevent this from ever happening again. Without a change, presidents can do anything and simply pardon their hatchet men. Pardon coin just dropped. Here it is again. Biden pardoning his entire family. There should be no such thing as a preemptive pardon. I still can't believe that he did this. But that's what they do. This is the deep state, the criminal swamp dwellers circling the wagons to protect their own. Because they know Donald Trump was about to hit the White House, hit the ground running, and start investigating and prosecuting all of these criminals. Bob Smith says Anthony Fauci literally killed millions of people around the globe by creating and releasing COVID-19. There must be some way to void this pardon. Well, I bring up the point. Again, every piece of paper they put in front of Joe Biden is even mentally competent to know what he's signing. Basic contract law says if you're not competent, your signature has no standing. So we'll wait to see if there's anyone who's actually going to challenge that, but that's where I stand. Liz Churchill pointing out 10 hours ago, Dr. Fauci admitted in his own emails that he planned the pandemic. Do not allow a pardon for this monster. Well, it's too late, Liz. Too late for that. So the pardons are flying and people are reacting. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, friends, and we're going to continue to track this and the fallout. So, let's continue here. Let's be clear about what we just saw. In his final act as president, Joe Biden didn't just pardon his allies, he tried to rewrite history. But here's what's really interesting. Accepting a pardon, according to the Supreme Court, is an admission of guilt. So think about that. Every single one of these people, Fauci, Milley, Cheney, they've all essentially admitted guilt by accepting these pardons. But here's the question nobody's asking. If these pardons were really about protecting innocent public servants, as they claim, why did they need them in the first place? What exactly are they admitting to? And more importantly, what don't they want you to know about what really happened during those Biden years? And show off your patriot pride with our MAGAvengers collection, available now in the Next News merch shop, link below.